We're now live on YouTube.
Thank you very much, Leah. Good evening and welcome to the full council meeting of Broadland District Council this evening on Thursday the 24th of September. I'm Karen Vincent, Chairman of the Council. We're being supported this evening on live stream by Leah Arthurton, and this evening our committee officer is Claire White. So thank you both for your support this evening. Councillors, we have a very full agenda and I would appreciate it if you'd work with me to make this meeting run as smoothly as possible. So with that in mind, I thought it'd be helpful just to remind ourselves of the meeting etiquette for this evening's meeting. As I've just said, the council meeting is being held virtually and live streamed for public viewing on YouTube. So councillors and officers, please be mindful of this. Whilst your camera is on, we can all see you, and whilst your mic is on, we can all hear you. So, I'll take this opportunity also to say a good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us via the live streaming link. Thank you for joining us. In terms of trying acknowledge and to speak this evening, please can you use the chat messaging function if you wish to speak. With over 50 people in this meeting, I'm afraid I can't see everyone on the screen at the same time. So if you do wish to speak, if you can indicate through the chat function, and I shall invite you in turn to address council. I'd rather you not use the hand function for the reasons I've just said. In terms of muting and unmuting, councillors, you'll be responsible for muting and unmuting your own microphones this evening. But if you do struggle, assistance will be provided if required. But if you do receive a request on your screen asking permission for your microphone to be unmuted, could you please give permission to do so? And when you're not speaking, if you could then remute your microphone, that will help minimise some background noise, which can be distracting from business of council. Thank you very much for that. Just one other thing, if we're still in session after 2 hours, I intend to take a short adjournment to allow for a comfort break. Right, I think that's our housekeeping over. So now moving to business of the council this evening. Firstly, I'm delighted to see so many of you present this evening. I hope you're all keeping well wherever you may be. And we'll start this meeting with a roll call to confirm your attendance and also to receive any declarations of interest under agenda item 1. Councillors, you'll be called in alphabetical order. When your name is called, could you please unmute, acknowledge your presence and declare any interests that you may have. I'll now invite Claire, our committee officer, to call the roll. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Adams.
Here, no declarations.
Councillor Beadle.
Present and no declarations.
Councillor Brennan.
Here, no declarations.
Councillor Britcher.
Here and no declarations.
Councillor Bullman.
Here, no declarations.
Councillor Catchpole.
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Copplestone.
Here, no declarations.
Councillor Crotch.
Present and no declarations.
Councillor Emsell.
Here, no declarations.
Councillor Fisher.
Here and no declarations.
Councillor Folger.
Councillor Folger, are you able to unmute, please?
Is he here?
I have seen Councillor Folger. Let's go back to him, Claire.
Okay, I'll come back.
Thank you.
Councillor Grattan.
No declarations, thank you.
Councillor Gurney.
I'm at this meeting with no declarations.
Thank you. Councillor Hartley.
Haven't seen her.
I haven't seen her, Claire.
Okay, Councillor Harrison.
I'm here, no declarations.
Councillor Hempsaw.
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Holland. Do we know if Councillor Holland is present?
Yes, Councillor Holland is present, yes.
Councillor Holland, would you be able to unmute, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very faintly.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, I am here and I have no declarations of interest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Karimi Guvenlu.
Present and no declarations.
Councillor Kelly,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor King,
Councillor King, are you present?
Present, no declarations.
thank you. Councillor Lawn,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Lawrence,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor J Leggett,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor K Leggett,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Mackey,
Councillor Mackey, are you able to unmute?
Councillor Mackey, I can see him.
Here, no,
was that no declarations, Councillor Mackey?
yes, I'm speaking here and no declarations.
Thank you. Councillor Mancini Boyle,
No declarations, that's right. Thank you.
Present, no declarations.
thank you. Councillor Morrell,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Nurden,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Peck,
Present, no declarations.
thank you. Councillor Pruton,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Riley,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Ryman Tubb,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Shaw,
Here, no declarations.
Councillor Snowling,
Haven't seen him.
okay. Councillor Starling,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor D Thomas,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor J Thomas,
Present, no declarations.
Councillor K Vincent,
Present and no declarations of interest.
Councillor S Vincent,
Present, no declarations of interest.
Councillor Walker,
Present, no declarations of interest.
Councillor Ward,
Present, no declarations of interest.
Councillor Wymark.
Present, no declarations of interest.
Okay, and shall we go back to Councillor Folger?
Present, no declarations.
Thank you.
And Councillor Hartley's joined as well.
Councillor Harpley, do you have any interest to declare?
No, no interest.
Thank you. I think that concludes the roll call, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Claire. That then takes us to apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence this evening?
We do. I've received apologies from Councillors Clancy, Cook, Moncur, Neeson, and Roper.
Thank you very much. That then takes us on to the minutes of the meeting of our last meeting on the 30th of July. If we can first take those for accuracy, they start on page 7 of the agenda. Members, if you have any points of accuracy, could you please indicate in the chat now? I can't see anyone indicating anything. I do, if I may, have a couple of points of accuracy if I can now read those out. They are on minute 159, page 15 of the agenda papers. The first paragraph, which begins the Chairman of the Council, on the first sentence, I would like to insert the words "from the monitoring officer" after the word "advice." Therefore, the amended sentence would read, "The Chairman of the Council stated that she had taken advice from the monitoring officer on this matter and was keen to see the Constitution upheld." The second and third sentences, the amendment is to join the second and third sentence together and slightly reword, substituting the word "spirit" for the word "requirements." This new combined sentence will therefore read, "She had decided that the late receipt of the changes would not be justified on the grounds of urgent business and was of the view that the late amendment did not fall within the requirements of the Constitution." And linked with that, the third paragraph, which begins, "The Chairman commented on the first sentence to add at the end of the first sentence, which was considerably later than the 10 days stated in the Constitution." So the amended sentence will now read, the chairman commented that the procedure had been the same for the last 12 months and the proposed changes had only been notified 3 days before the meeting, which was considerably later than the 10 days stated in the Constitution. So I move the minutes as a true record of the meeting with those subject to those amendments. We will be required to take this as a roll call to approve those amendments subject to that comment, or those changes I should say. Are there any points before I go to the roll call? I can't see anything, so I'll invite Claire, could you please take the roll call on those minutes? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Beadle.
Against, and I did indicate to speak.
Chairman, did you want to allow Councillor Beadle to speak?
Yes, I will. I did offer that invite, and I'm sorry, Councillor Beadle, I clearly didn't wait long enough before I moved to the vote. So I see that you'd like to raise a point under matters arising under minute number 163. Councillor Beadle, would you like to put that to the council, please?
No, the 163 is something else, Chair.
Oh, okay.
What you're debating now is amendments to the minutes, and I think they're quite substantial amendments to the minutes, and given the importance of these and the severity which your interpretation resulted in at the last meeting, I don't think your amendments are accurate, and therefore I am voting against the minutes as you are proposing.
Thank you, Councillor Beadle.
Can you carry on with the vote, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Brennan.
For.
Councillor Britcher.
Against.
Councillor Bowman.
For.
Councillor Catchpole.
Against.
Councillor Copplestone.
For.
Councillor Crotch.
For.
Councillor Empsall.
For.
Councillor Fisher.
For.
Councillor Folger.
For.
Councillor Grattan.
For.
Councillor Gurney. Councillor Gurney.
Yes, for the second time, for. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hartley.
Against.
Councillor Harrison.
Against, please.
Councillor Hempsall.
For.
Councillor Holland.
Abstain.
Councillor Karimi Guvenlou.
Abstain.
Councillor Kelly.
For.
Councillor King.
For.
Councillor Lawn.
For.
Councillor Lawrence.
Abstain.
Councillor J Leggett.
For.
Councillor K Leggett.
For.
Councillor Mackie. Councillor Mackie.
We seem to have quite a time delay with Councillor Mackie. I do wonder if he could turn his video off, whether that might assist. Can we come back to Councillor Mackie, Claire?
Of course. Councillor Mancini Boyle.
For.
Councillor Morrell.
For.
Councillor Nurden.
For.
Councillor Peck. For. Councillor Pouton.
For.
Councillor Riley.
Councillor Riley, you're on mute.
Thank you, Emma. On the basis of the chair determining to amend in terms of what she said, specifically for.
Thank you. Councillor Ryman Tubb?
4.
Councillor Shaw?
4.
Councillor Starling?
Abstain.
Thank you. Councillor D. Thomas?
Abstain.
Councillor J. Thomas?
No.
Councillor J. Thomas, I don't know if you can hear us.
Sorry, I did say 4. Sorry, I was obviously too quick.
Thank you. Councillor K. Vincent?
4.
Councillor S. Vincent?
4.
Councillor Walker?
4.
Councillor Ward?
4.
And Councillor Wymark?
4.
Okay, did we want to go back?
That's the only person we missed was
Councillor Mackey.
Councillor Mackey, but he has not been able to rejoin. He's
Okay.
rejoining at present. That is carried, though, that vote, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. On that basis, I was... Oh.
4.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Mackey.
Thank you. On that basis, thank you, councillors. I will sign the minutes as a true record subject to those amendments that were read out.
I'm here.
I think there's a time delay on
you.
Councillor Mackey. We're having a few gremlins tonight, so hopefully we will get this sorted. Right, that takes us on to item 4, matters arising. I'll first go to Councillor Beadle. I think that was where you're indicating in the chat you had a matters arising under item 163. Councillor Beadle.
Correct, Chair. The temporary pavement licensing, can I ask how many have been granted, please?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Beadle. I'm wondering who might be able to answer that question.
I'm not sure we've got the relevant director in the room. We'll take that away, Chairman, and provide an answer to that query.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other? I can see something in chat from Councillor Judy Leggett. Did you want to raise something under matters arising?
Apologies. Yes, I wanted to answer the question. We have had no applications for temporary pavement licences.
Thank you, Councillor Leggett, for answering that question. So that one's now been resolved.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Any other matters arising? Councillor Nurden, I believe you have a comment.
Yeah. Yes, just a question. I noticed that there were a couple of abstentions when it came to confirming the minutes, and I think that there was one member that I am aware was not present at the meeting that actually voted in favour of confirming those minutes. Can you just ask the monitoring officer to just check that vote is correctly recorded?
Thank you.
I have the vote. Yep, I have the vote correctly recorded. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Nurden, and thank you for confirming, Emma. Right, are there any other points of matters arising? I see none. I'm being patient before some, bless you. No, okay, that takes us on to item 5, announcements. I'm going to do something slightly unusual this evening, so please bear with me. Before I go into my announcements, we have a special guest joining us this evening. I don't know if somebody could help.
Yep, she is in the room, Chairman.
Good evening, Sarah.
Sarah, if you speak, then you'll be on the same screen as the Chairman.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. I can't see you.
Oh, can you see me? I've got video on. No?
Oh, I can. Hello. Hello. Firstly, good evening, Sarah. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm really sorry to interrupt your holiday, and I hope this is a nice surprise rather than one that is not so nice. But after 33 years of working with this council, I just couldn't let you disappear to pastures new without saying a few words and expressing my thanks for all of your help and support during my time as chairman. As a current chairman of the council, I wanted to formally say a big thank you to you for all your help and guidance. Now, had I had the opportunity, had the AGM not been postponed because of the pandemic, I would have the opportunity to give my thanks in the traditional way, and that would be in person here in the council chamber. But alas, that was not to be. I have a little something as a token of my appreciation, and I don't know if I can ask my able assistant, Martin, if you wouldn't mind assisting me with this, please.
It's there. Thank you. Can you see? Some beautiful flowers. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Just as a small token of appreciation
Thank you
for all you've done. Thank you. I don't want to embarrass you, but I'd just like to say a few words now, if I may.
Okay.
I'll give you the chance of reply.
Okay. Yeah.
Sarah joined Broadland District Council in 1987. This is a little bit of This Is Your Life, so I apologise in advance. Sarah joined Broadland District Council in 1987, first working in the Technical Service Department. Then in 1991, I believe you were asked to provide cover as a committee assistant on a trial basis. The trial was clearly successful, and I understand that you've never looked back. In 2010, I believe you were appointed Senior Committee Manager, and then in 2013, you then assumed responsibility for civic support. And since then, you've supported, I believe, 8 council chairmen, so 7 others as well as myself, and a number of those remain members of the council today, namely Sheila Gurney, Tony Adams, Ken Leggett, John Ward, and Judy Leggett, as well as 2 members, or Stuart Dunn and David Ward, who have since left the council. So Sarah, I just really want to say again, thank you for all that you have done. And I'm sure members of the council will join me in wishing you all the very best for the future in your new role at the Broads Authority. So thank you very much. Members, will you join me?
Here, here, Chair. Here, here.
Thank you, Sarah.
So Sarah, I'm sorry if I've embarrassed you, but did you want
okay.
to?
My cheeks are a little bit red, but I've just got a very few words I would just like to say, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. So thank you very much for that, Chairman. It's very much appreciated. As you say, it's been 33 years. I've got many happy memories, and although I am sad to be leaving lots of friends and colleagues and members, I'm looking forward to joining the Broads Authority. It's actually been quite overwhelming, all the lovely comments that I have received from staff and members. I've even had some former councillors contact me as well. And I've also received some lovely gifts, including from yourself and a couple of other former chairmen. Providing support to the chairman of the council has been a particular honour and a pleasure since I took on the role in 2013. And I'd just like to wish everybody well for the future. Thank you very much for inviting me to the meeting tonight.
No, thank you, Sarah. Thanks very much, and all the very best for the future. And then please enjoy the rest of your holiday. I promise not to ring you again.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right. Thank you, members, for that. That now leads me on to my civic engagements. You'll find them before you on page 21 of the agenda. It's been my pleasure over the past month or so in presenting awards to our COVID community heroes. I had the pleasure of meeting and speaking with around 20 of those here at Thorpe Lodge on the green outside, and since then I've been meeting them in the community, just gone having a chat with them with a local member, and it's just been heartwarming to hear the hard work and what they've been doing within the communities. It's been quite inspirational. There are a couple of items that are not listed on my civic engagement. I'd just like to make note of one in particular, and that was on the 4th of September. You'll have seen in the photos on social media that we had one of our refuse collection crews come to Thorpe Lodge on behalf, representing all of the the crews. Well, I had the pleasure on the 4th of September for a very early morning. I went to the depot and was able to personally meet and thank around 70 of the collection crew as they went out on their round. I'm not good in the mornings, I have to say, but it was worth it just to see and personally thank each and every one of them. So it's just something I just want to make note of. And just last Friday, I had the pleasure of presenting an award at the One Awards, which was the Staff Awards. And that was the WOW Award, which was to the Green Guardians and Jamie Henry for the work they did in transforming the grounds outside Thorpe Lodge. And that, I felt that was very well deserved. They did that in their own time. And I just thought I'd share that with you this evening. So they are my civic engagements that I just like to make note of. And I'll hand over now to the Vice Chairman. Do you have any points that you wish to raise? Councillor Folger.
Thank you, Chairman. On the VJ Day, I attended a very moving ceremony in Drayton, which was organised by the Parish Council and the British Legion, and it was very important that that memory of what went on in Burma was very important, as clearly all the loss of life which was sustained there was basically of members of the 14th Army, which is quite often referred to as the Forgotten Army. And I think it was extremely relevant to bring it to body's attention. And I was pleased to say that the ceremony was very well attended. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Folger. I'll invite the leader. Has he got any announcements he wished to make? Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. Just like to pick up on a few things. First of all, just picking up on COVID-19 as a quick update and where we are with the pandemic. I'd just like to remind people that we are still suffering from difficult times, and that was highlighted this week by the changes the government has made. And until those are fully understood, then we need to just be that little bit more careful and a little bit more respectful for each other. Just to let you know, the infection rates across Norfolk do remain low, but as I said, we just like to remind everyone to be careful and follow that government's guidance of the hands, the face, and space are their three key words at this point in time. So remember those, please: hands, face, and space. Just a couple other things just to update you on. Broadland Growth, our development company, has done a development in the Plumsteads called Rosebery Fields. 22 new homes. They've all now been sold subject to contract, which is a good news. And it's hoped that all the new residents will be in their homes by Christmas. This was another successful development by Broadland Growth that brought considerable benefit to the public purse, as well as 8 affordable homes, significant contribution to the green infrastructure and to the local highways improvement. I'd also just like to touch on our partnership working across the Greater Norwich area with Norwich City Council and South Norfolk Council, and just congratulate all 3 members on winning an award for the Joint Infrastructure Investment Plan and the Supporting Industry Investment Fund. And again, the category that it was won in was a partnership working. So it just emphasises the key elements of the 3 councils working together. I was going to mention something on devolution, but I'll leave that because there's a question later on the agenda, so I'll pick that up there. And I'd just like to remind everyone about the community hearts. We see a few of those are on the background with people here, but just again to remind people that these are to celebrate the selfish work and incredible achievements that people do across the communities. And nominations for this year's awards closes towards the end of this month on the 27th of September. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Leader, for updating the Council. Right, I will now head towards the members of the Cabinet. I'll first go to the Deputy Leader and then I'll invite Cabinet members in alphabetical order. So firstly, Councillor Mancini-Boyle, do you have anything that you'd like to raise?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to remind members that the community lottery is launching on November the 5th, albeit virtually. The chairman and myself will be on the virtual meeting, and I'm sure members will be able to log on to that as well. And just to remind you to please get your good causes into the communities team so they can get them registered. The tickets will start to go on sale in January, so straight after Christmas. So you need to get your good cause on the system. They can put it on now, even though the website's not launching until November the 5th. And Gatherwell, the company that have helped the team set the lottery up, will be on that Zoom call explaining everything as well. So just remember, get your good causes in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mancini-Boyle. Thank you. Councillor Copleston, do you have anything that you'd like to raise?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just very pleased that the government has today announced the new job support scheme, which starts in November and will replace the furlough scheme. Also, the 5% VAT has been extended until the 31st of March for the hospitality and tourism sector, which will be a great boost for our local businesses. And also, I'm absolutely delighted that we have had an injection of capital grant money from the Getting Building Fund for our Food Innovation Centre, which will be very positive. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Copleston. I'm struggling to unmute there. Thank you. That now takes me to Councillor Emsell. Do you have anything that you'd like to raise?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes. I would just like to let Council know that the officers have been working very hard on our Spark IT projects. Even during the COVID crisis with lockdowns and home working, officers have made good progress. We are working towards the completion of the joint website and the joint email projects, plus have had some telephony updates, some of which have helped officers actually from work at home more efficiently. With improvements to the One network and IT systems also progressing well. SEAC will be having further updates in the next couple of months or for the next meetings. We are still on track with most of our projects for spring next year. And we will also be reviewing members' IT, which I know members are quite keen on to do that as well. So everything is happening and the staff have made really good progress, even though we started the Spark project and then we had lockdown literally a week later. So I'd like to congratulate all the staff on all the work they're putting together, even in these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Emsell, and I think that's well said. We often forget that what's going on behind the scenes, so thank you very much, staff, for all that you're doing. I know it hasn't been an easy period of time. Thank you. Right, who's next? Councillor Hempsell, have you got something that you'd like to raise? Councillor Hempsell.
Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd like to say that officers in the planning department have formed this council's response to the consultation on changes to the planning system and the white paper on planning. This has gone through the place shaping panel overview and scrutiny and will finally land in cabinet on Tuesday evening. I'd really like to thank the officers for doing an amazing job preparing a briefing for members to help inform them of the changes and the key critical issues in both papers. And I'd really like to thank the members of the place shaping panel and overview and scrutiny who have so far engaged really positively and really helped shape our response moving forward. So I'd just like to encourage any other members who haven't yet had their say. This will get the council's stamp of approval on Tuesday evening at Cabinet. So if you have any final comments to make, please let either myself or the leader know, or the officers before Tuesday evening, and you can probably with a leader's discretion make representations at Cabinet as well. So thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hempsall. So we're hearing that the deadline for those comments is Tuesday the 29th of September, if you still want to comment. Thank you. Councillor Judy Leggett, have you got anything you'd like to raise?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just want to give you all some good news about recycling rates. The official recycling rates are issued by DEFRA each year in November. However, we have, with thanks to a Norfolk County Council report, already got some of those figures. And I'm pleased to report that the overall recycling rate for Broadland was 49.6%. And to put that in context, the next two councils were 42.5%. So we do seem to have a good lead there over the rest of the districts. However, we've got more work to do, as our ambition is to get it up to 60. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leggett, for that update. And last but not least, Councillor Fran Wymark, do you have anything you'd like to raise?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. It's always good to be last. But no, I just wanted to kick off really with saying I watched the One Awards and I was really pleased to do so because it was really good fun. And Trevor, I think you did a sterling job holding it all together. And our new double act, Phil and Jamie. I really was so pleased to see Heath Alsop sort of actually recognised as a customer hero for all the work he does as a handy person plus, and also the rising star being Victoria Parsons, who I know has done so much good work in the housing department, particularly helping to develop the housing allocations policy. I'd like to I know everyone's had an invite, but I'd like to ensure that you really do come along to the members' consultation next week on the 30th, 5 o'clock. And then as many as possible, really, if you'd like to come along to the Wellbeing Panel the following week at 6 p.m. on the 7th of October, when we'll be looking at the housing allocations policy. So we're taking it through the process then. So it'll be really good to see you. Okay, and we really do want to make this the best in class. So it's really important that you give us your views and be honest. You know, we want to make it the best in class, so help us do so. Obviously, the leader said about the Community at Heart, that closes on 27th of September, so this Sunday. And also, so you know, the Marriotts Way is closing soon. The Marriotts Way 10K and Family 1 Mile Fun Run are still going ahead virtually, and 25% of the profits are going to cancer research. And you can do the run anytime between Monday 28th September and Sunday the 4th of October. And just while we're talking about running and the One Awards, I just wanted to know, did Hannah run through the boxes, or did Trevor get that joy? As I see her on the screen. Okay, you can message me later, but I really want to know. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Wymark, for your comments, and I'm sure you'll get the answer to that a bit later. Okay. That now takes me to the Head of Paid Service. Do you have any comments that you'd like to raise? Thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much indeed. I think you will notice there's quite a time lag on my video, so I apologise for that. A couple of things to raise for Councillors' attention. One, thank you for your kind comments around the One Awards. It really was a great opportunity to celebrate some really, really significant things our staff have been achieving. And all of the nominations came from the staff. So that made it all the richer, really, because it was staff recognising colleagues for the work that they have done or are doing. A couple of other things to notice. One, we have been starting to bring people back into the building for orientation sessions. It's been a long while since teams have been able to get back together. So we've been working on that and working on an individual basis around who's working at which location, who's working at home. slightly rudely interrupted, but not to be unanticipated for announcements this week. And so you'll know that for anything up to the next 6 months, we'll continue to work as far as possible in a remote environment. As has already been touched on, some of the soft phone connections have been significantly improved, and we continue to work on that process. And the last thing to mention, one of our apprentices or former apprentices, Katie Whitting, was recognised as runner-up in the East of England Apprentice of the Year. Again, another testament to the great staff that we have working for us in the one team serving 2 councils. Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity to share those things.
Trevor, thank you very much for sharing them with us. And we also pass on our congratulations. Right, I think that now takes us to item 6 on our agenda. That's questions from the public. Claire, I don't believe we have any this evening.
No questions, Chairman.
Thank you. And item 7, public speaking. Again, I don't believe there are any questions from the public.
No, Chairman.
Thank you. That now takes us on to item 8, overview and scrutiny. If I can now invite the committee chairman, Councillor Riley, to present the minutes. But before I hand over to Councillor Riley, can I please remind members that we can refer only to the non-exempt minutes at this point. So please save any discussion on the exempt minutes until item 18 of our agenda. Thank you. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Chair, and you actually saved me a job there as well on the ONS exempt. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd save time, Chair. I'll move both together. The 1 to 18th of August 2020 and 8th of September 2020. Move the minutes. They are accurate and all matters resolved, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Riley. We received those minutes and that's duly noted. Thank you. That now moves us to item 9, the Cabinet papers. I'll invite the leader to present the non-exempt minutes. So the same applies if we can reserve our questions purely to the non-exempt minutes at this point. Leader, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So, yep, we have before us the non-exempt minutes of the Cabinet meeting on the 25th of August that I would ask Council to receive. And there's a couple of items that we just need to, as our recommendations to Council, that we just need to go through. First one of those is minute number 123, the COVID-19 response Norfolk Fighting Fund. Again, I'd just like to recommend to Council that the authority be delegated to the Assistant Director of Finance in consultation with myself to allocate £150,000 to the Norfolk-wide Fighting Fund. This is also known as the Norfolk Strategic Fund, amongst other names that I think it is also been given. And you'll be pleased to hear that the latest allocation of that looks like Broadland is going to receive within the area about £430,000. So it's a good investment as such. It's money that will come into the area and it will help to contribute to the recovery of COVID and help businesses recover. So I recommend that to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Vincent. You've proposed it. I can see in the chat that Councillor Trudy Mancini-Boyle would like to second that. Councillor Mancini-Boyle, would you like to speak now or reserve the right?
I'll reserve the right, thank you.
Thank you. On that basis, I open the matter up for question and debate. Over to you, councillors. I'll wait for a moment in case something comes up in the chat. I don't see anything coming. So back to you, Councillor Mancini-Boyle.
No, that's fine. I need say nothing further. Thank you.
Thank Thank you very much. And I'll go back to the leader now to sum up before we go to the vote. Leader.
Sure. Leader, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry, it's that. Right, yeah. Sorry, thank you. I'd just like to again reiterate the importance of the fund. While it's a fund right across Norfolk, it is also benefiting the Broadland businesses as they recover from the COVID impact on the local economy. So again, I would just recommend to council that the authority be delegated to the Assistant Director of Finance in consultation with myself to allocate £150,000 to the Norfolk-wide Fighting Fund.
Thank you very much. On that basis, I'll invite the committee officer Claire to take the roll call for a vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Beadle.
Councillor Beadle, can you hear us?
I'm following the leader's lead and forgetting to unmute. For.
Thank you. Councillor Brennan.
For.
Councillor Britcher.
For.
Councillor Bullman.
For.
Councillor Catchpole.
For.
Councillor Copplestone.
For.
Councillor Crotch.
For.
Councillor Emsall.
For.
Councillor Fisher.
For.
Councillor Folger.
For.
Councillor Grattan.
For.
Councillor Gurney.
Look, I know Councillor Gurney is having problems with the internet this evening. There's been a power cut, but I believe you're back in, Councillor Gurney.
Yes, I'm just back in. We've had 2 power cuts this evening. Haven't paid my bill properly. No, 4, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gurney. Councillor Harpley.
For.
Councillor Harrison.
For.
Councillor Hempsall.
For.
Councillor Holland.
For.
Councillor Karimi Guvenlou.
For.
Councillor Kelly.
For.
Councillor King.
For.
Councillor Lawn.
For.
Councillor Lawrence.
For.
Councillor J Leggett.
For.
Councillor K Leggett.
For.
Councillor Mackie.
He has confirmed 4 in the chat, Claire. He's having problems still with his connection.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Mancini Boyle.
For.
Councillor Morrell.
For.
Councillor Nurden.
For.
Councillor Peck.
I think we temporarily lost Councillor Peck, Claire.
Okay. Councillor Prutton.
For.
Councillor Riley.
For.
Councillor Ryman Tubb.
For.
Councillor Shaw.
For.
Councillor Starling.
For.
Councillor D Thomas.
For.
Councillor J Thomas.
For.
Councillor K Vincent.
For.
Councillor S Vincent.
For.
Councillor Walker.
For.
Councillor Ward.
For.
Councillor Wymark. Was that a 4, Councillor Wymark? Thank you. Did we want to go back?
Yeah, Councillor Peck is back in the room, I believe. Councillor Peck.
For.
4. Thank you, Councillor Peck. That's carried, Chairman.
Thank you very much for that.
It's a terrible line. Keeps breaking up all the time.
We're struggling with the technology tonight. There are a few glitches. Good to see you back in, Councillor Peck. That now takes us to the second recommendation coming from Cabinet, and that's minute 125 on page 37 of your agenda. And I'll invite Councillor Hempsall to present this to you. Councillor Hempsall.
Thank you, Chairman. This is just an update to the local development scheme. I won't labour the point, really, just ask Council to approve the latest amendments to the current LDS May 2019. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hempsall. You're proposing that, and I can see in the chat that Councillor Sean Vincent will second that. Councillor Vincent, did you want to speak now or reserve the right?
I don't need to add anything. As the portfolio holder has said, it's a administrative matter at the moment of just keeping the timetable up to date. So there's no need to say any more than that.
Thank you very much. On that basis, I'll open this up to question or debate. Councillors, if anyone would like to raise any points, then please do so now. I'll pause for a moment just in case. I see nothing coming forward. So on that basis, I'll assume members are happy that I invite the committee officer to proceed to the roll call for the vote. Claire, could you take the vote on this, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Beadle.
For.
Councillor Brennan.
For.
Councillor Britcher.
For.
Councillor Bullman.
For.
Councillor Catchpole.
For.
Councillor Copplestone.
For.
Councillor Crotch.
For.
Councillor Hempsall.
For.
Councillor Fisher.
For.
Councillor Folger.
For.
Councillor Grattan.
For.
Councillor Gurney.
For.
Councillor Hartley.
For.
Councillor Harrison.
Yes. For.
Councillor Hempsall.
For.
Councillor Holland.
For.
Councillor Karimi Guvenlou.
For.
Councillor Kelly.
For.
Councillor King.
For.
Councillor Lawn.
For.
Councillor Lawrence.
For.
Councillor J Leggett.
For.
Councillor K Leggett.
For.
Councillor Mackie.
For.
Councillor Mancini Boyle.
For.
Councillor Murrell.
For.
Councillor Nurden.
For.
Councillor Peck.
I think we've lost Councillor Peck again. Can we come back to him?
Will do,
For.
thank you.
Oh,
For.
no.
Thank you, Councillor Peck. Councillor Prutton.
For.
Councillor Riley.
For.
For. I said for.
Councillor Ryman Tubb.
For.
Councillor Shaw.
For.
Councillor Starling.
For.
Councillor D Thomas.
For.
Councillor J Thomas.
For.
Councillor K Vincent.
For.
Councillor S Vincent.
For.
Councillor Walker.
For.
Councillor Ward.
For.
And Councillor Wymark.
For.
Should we go back to Councillor Peck? Is he back?
He did say for, I believe.
Oh, he did, yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Chairman. That's carried.
Thank you very much. I believe that was unanimous. Thank you very much, Claire. That takes us on to item 10. I'll invite the committee chairman to present the minutes of the planning committee. Councillor Lawn.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. All matters resolved.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. And that now takes us to item 11. The audit committee, the papers start on page 59 of your agenda. I will now invite Councillor Nurden, the committee chairman, to present the minutes. Councillor Nurden.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I would like to present the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on the 16th of July. At this meeting, we had the opportunity to go through the 2019-20 draft statement of accounts and ask a number of probing questions. The internal audit manager also presented a report on the progress made on the 2019-2020 internal audit plan, and members had an opportunity to review the completed audits. The impact of COVID-19 also impacted on the audit plan, and the committee also considered and approved a revised plan of work for the current financial year. The internal audit follow-up report was also considered. This is an area of grave concern to the committee, and I would like to emphasize what is reflected in the second paragraph of minute 45, which is on the top of page 64. There are outstanding recommendations from the audit work carried out as far back as 2017-18, which have still not been implemented to the satisfaction of the Internal Audit Service. This is unacceptable to the committee, and I have reported this matter at previous council meetings. What the council now requires is that the officers responsible for the recommendations that had been given extensions to their due dates should draft a plan of how they would implement those recommendations by their revised due dates and submit that plan to the managing director. If the recommendations have not been implemented to the satisfaction of the Internal Audit Service by the next meeting of the Audit Committee, which is on the 22nd of October, then the committee will be asking the managing director for the reasons why the recommendations have not been implemented. The committee also looked at the risk management policy, which will be going through Cabinet and then to Council for approval, as well as the draft annual governance statement for 2019-20. It was a long agenda and a lot of discussion, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Nurden, for your update. Are there any questions for Councillor Nurden? I don't think there are, Councillor Nurden, but thank you very much for your report. Thank you. That now takes us to item 12 on our agenda. That's the Licensing and Regulatory Committee. That's page 71 on your agenda, and I'll invite Councillor Gurney, the committee chairman, to put forward the minutes. Thank you, Councillor Gurney.
Thank you, councillors. You have the minutes of the meeting held on the 22nd of July. It was quite a long meeting. It was our first one under Zoom. It went very well, and I'd like you to accept those minutes. They have been accepted by the committee, and they are for your information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gurney. I don't know if everybody heard, it was quite faint, unfortunately, Councillor Gurney, but what I heard you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's for information, those minutes had been accepted, and that was for our information this evening.
Yes, they are resolved. They are resolved, and we asked yesterday if there had been any further update on the application, because it was refused, and I was told yesterday by the licensing committee ladies that they had heard nothing since the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gurney, for your update. That now takes us to item 13 on our agenda, and that's the Monitoring Officer's report. You'll find that on page 78 of your papers, and at this point I'll invite the leader to speak to that item. Over to you, Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. A few items here just to run through. First one of those is on page 79 in section 2, which details out changes to appointments to committees and panels. And the detailed changes are in 2.2 and 2.3. We then have in section 3 an update on the service improvement and efficiency terms of reference. And then in section 4, we have the archive policy regarding live streaming. And again, this is an interesting one. It's all about governance and driving success. Again, here we're looking at some of the rules are detailed out in front of us, but like anything, it's always subject to change. Strangely enough, this time last year, who knew that we would be headlining on YouTube? So that's what we're talking about today. It's important that the council and all of its committee meetings are available to the public, and that's why they are broadcast on YouTube, as tonight's meeting is. The policy before you is trying to ensure that there's appropriate management of those videos, and also the ability to do some housekeeping as far as just keeping them up to date and relevant, rather than just having a list of old meetings on there. So they're the three key areas. The recommendations are on the bottom of page 81. 7.1 is to approve the amendments to the appointments to the committees and panels as noted in section 2 of the report. Recommendation 7.2 is to approve the terms of reference for the Service Improvement and Efficiency Committee. And then 7.3 is to approve the archive policy for live streaming of council meetings. I would put those recommendations to council.
Thank you for that, Leader. You're proposing these recommendations. Do you have a seconder?
Yes, I will second that.
Right, so it's proposed by Councillor Vincent and seconded by Councillor Folger. I'll now open up to question and debate, and I can see there's a number of people in the chat function wishing to speak. I will take them in order. So we first have Councillor Sue Prutton, and then after that we have Councillor Riley. But firstly, Councillor Sue Prutton. Councillor Prutton, you're on mute at the moment, I'm afraid.
Beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'll just briefly say that as these YouTube recordings are potentially a permanent source of verification, and I wonder whether there is any technical reason that they ever need to be deleted at all. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Prutton, for your question. Probably.
Chairman, would you like me to help with that?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind, Trevor. Thank you.
Chairman, absolutely. So in technical sense, they can be there as long as you want them to be there. There's no requirement in terms of the local government legislation because the normal minutes of the meeting are produced and signed off in the way that you have seen them signed off this evening. The concern, I guess, is that things evolve, policies change, positions change. The minutes are the permanent record that you would wish to refer to. You might want to have a policy that said actually when someone searches for Broadland Cabinet or Broadland Council, they're provided with an opportunity for the latest and most current videos of meetings. And if they wish to go into the archives, the minutes are always available. So no technical reason why not, but equally there's no requirement for you as members to keep a record in this way. The minutes will meet the statutory requirements. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Prutton, did you want to come back on that?
No, sorry, I'm really concerned about the technical side of it. You know, the policy side. I accept what the leader says, but I would rather this stayed as my choice.
Thank you, Councillor Prutton. Right, so as I said, there's a number of people wishing to speak. I have Councillor Riley followed by Councillor Hempsall. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just in relation to page 79 and towards the bottom of the page, Planning Committee, you'll see there that there's reference in the Monitoring Officer's report, Sue Catchpole to replace David Harrison, sub, Karen Lawrence to replace Councillor Lisa Stein, substitute, Councillor Judy Neeson to replace Councillor Dave Thomas's substitute. I'd just like to say that we do actually have trained further substitutes now for planning, which took place a couple of months ago, and that's Sue Holland and Sue Catchpole did it some time ago actually, and that David Harrison would remain within the pool of substitutes under Constitution para 4 and under section 1.5, where subs are, if they're trained, available to be attend meetings in terms of a pool. So just with the monitoring officer, checking if she's okay if we minute that and that point under the Constitution, and if so, Chair, we could minute that, and then that would also complement the monitoring officer's report here, if that's acceptable.
Would you like me to come in, Chairman?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute there. Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Councillor Riley is correct in terms of the Constitution, where the substitutes, there are a set of committees whereby as long as the members have received the statutory training, they can sit on that. So that's perfectly acceptable to amend that through the minutes to reflect that position with the Planning Committee. So we can make that amendment through there. That's fine.
Thank you, Emma. Also, I'd like to come back, but I'm signified now, Chair, in relation to the other points about that the leaders made. So I'll pop a question back in on that. It's to do with the same one Sue's raised. So I'll wait my turn. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Emma, thank you for advising on that one. And that sounds like we've found a way forward to minute those. Right, the next person to speak was Councillor Hempsall, and then followed by Councillor Britcher and Councillor Gurney. But firstly, Councillor Hempsall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would just like first to make a comment on 7.1 and thank all members who very enthusiastically took part in the planning training. It was, I was really glad to see how many members, additional members, decided to take on that that new responsibility. Secondly, under 7.3, I receive on a weekly basis many comments from councillors across the country who are watching our YouTube channel, who are watching our meetings, and I get compliments and questions about how we tackle policy issues, and they will compare how we do things and compare them to their own council. So I'll get questions on our latest consultation on planning, there'll be issues on cabinet, and it's a very well received resource that I think we are actually gaining respect for across the country, and I'd be really sad to see that disappear. So, with the leader's permission, I would like to vote against that particular recommendation. I think the record of YouTube videos should just stay. If it's no cost, there's no need to remove them. Let's just leave them. Yes, it's true that under statute the minutes are the true record of our meetings, and that's what we'll refer to. But ultimately, this is a period of time that I think we're all going to remember, and the way we've dealt with things, I think, are actually quite exemplar. So I'd like them to stay, Chairman. Thank you.
Councillor Hempsall, thank you very much for your comments. That takes me now to Councillor Britcher. Councillor Britcher.
Yeah, Chair, through you, could I ask the monitoring officer, have we seen any increase in the views from the first meeting to the ones that we had recently?
Thank you, Councillor Britcher. We are reaching much more of the public, I think, than we would ever have in the council chamber. So we are definitely reaching our community, which is brilliant. And planning is one of the ones that is viewed the most, which you would expect it to be. And it's just becoming a more direct route for people to view what we're doing. So the views are going up and they are increasing. So watch your P's and Q's because we are being watched.
Thank you for that.
Thank you both for that. That now, as I said, takes us on to Councillor Gurney. You had a point that you wanted to raise, Councillor Gurney.
Yes, thank you. I think they should be kept on YouTube for future reference. They demonstrate a period of history that we are now going through, which is unique in some respects. And I've already had some students from some of the local schools email me to say they are viewing them because they are using them for their social and cultural studies and their political studies. And I said to them about having them removed, and they said, we hope not, because we will be referring to them on and off for quite some period of time over our course. And I think, as Lana says, they are a reflection, but they're also a resource tool for research, for university students doing politics as well. And I don't think they should be removed. Other councils have left those on now for a good while, and the county council has had, I think, recordings, not necessarily visual recordings, but certainly audio recordings now for some good while. And I don't think we've wiped any of those. So I'm going to support Lana and everybody else who says they should remain. Thank you.
Councillor Gurney, thank you for your comments and your insight into how these videos are being used. Thank you. That now brings us to Councillor Judy Leggett, followed by Councillor Riley. Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to add that I agree with several of the speakers that I think having these meetings on YouTube makes us much more transparent, and especially as sometimes council business moves very slowly, it's interesting to look back and see how certain items were debated and decisions made. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leggett. Councillor Riley, you said you wanted to come back on this point, this matter. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Chair. Also, I've picked up the clarification that Trevor gave in relation to course minutes. We never used to have this when we before COVID. However, what I'm aware of, and I think probably several other councils are aware of, is that other councils were doing this in some places before COVID even. It is a way that the public can sort of view what goes on. I think it's healthy. I think it absolutely amplifies the issue around transparency. And I think that the longer they're left on, the better. Whether that is on permanently or whether it's 6 months or a year is probably debatable. But I think that to restrict it to 3 months or when the minutes are published, whichever is the sooner, is probably not the way forward. In relation to the proposition that's in front of us at the moment, Chair, I'm just clarifying this as well. When this is put to the vote, if, and of course we don't know, but if the majority were to vote against this, then we're kind of open. What is our policy? Some may say we just default to, well, it's just open. So if it is, Chair, and if that's not supported, I think I'd probably like to move that then just the functionality, going back through to monitoring officer and also Trevor as well, functionality, that then we'd probably need to move, somebody needs to move, and I'll be prepared to do it, that we do have a policy that they're left on for a year, and then we'd probably review it at the end of the year and see how it's gone. So I think we do need to replace it with something if this is not adopted. I think that's my point, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. I've got one other person who's made comment in here, and then I'll draw this debate to a close and I'll answer some of the questions that you've just put to me. But Councillor Mackie, you had a point you'd raised in the chat. Did you want to put that to Council?
Yeah, if you can hear me, Chair. It's very much back on what Councillor Gurney said about the historical records of these. We'll see this as a snapshot of time and the way that we're as a council, and also evidence as how the country responded. So no reason to delete these. I think it would be a wise thing to keep these for generations.
Thank you, Councillor Mackie. I'm afraid that was distorted, so I will just read out what was in the chat for everyone's benefit. Councillor Mackie says he thinks that these recordings will make an important historical record of the COVID-19 period in the life of this country and district. Let's not lose this history in the making. Right, I'm going to draw this to a close. We've had a really good debate. I'm hearing many members saying they would wish to have the videos or the meetings held on YouTube much longer. I heard Lana, I believe you proposed that we do that. I think what we'll do, I'm mindful of what you just said, Councillor Riley, and I might need to take Emma's, the monitoring officer's advice on this. I wonder if we go to the vote and then see what the situation is, or do we, and then is that the best way forward, Emma?
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Riley's right in terms of if we vote against this, we don't have a policy. You could take two views on this. We don't have a policy. We remain silent. Therefore, they are there forever and a day. Or you can propose an amendment to state that they will be there forever and a day. The end will be the same either way you wish to go on that.
Okay, no, thank you for that advice. I did say I wouldn't take any more comments. I was a bit premature. There's Councillor Harpley is wanting to speak, but that will be the final speaker on this. Councillor Harpley.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to agree with many of the other comments, actually. This is kind of like a time capsule moment for us, really. Kind of Blue Peter style, but modern version of it. I really think they should be maintained for as long as possible, and also I think as councillors we are accountable to our voting public. I'm very happy to stand by everything I've ever voted on and have said, so I think the public should be able to see what we've said, not how it's been spun. So I think they should absolutely be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harpley. Right,
Chairman, could I come in for 2 seconds, please?
Yes, please do. Thank you.
I think in terms of the question you asked the monitoring officer, and Emma, I'd look for your advice on this, is how do you get, I think, Chairman, was the question, from where we are in terms of the recommendation to how you get to a point where you've considered effectively the amendment that might be offered by Councillor Riley, i.e. that the recordings are retained for up to a year and then reviewed, or the position where the recommendation is defeated, i.e. they're not disposed of in 3 months and that's not replaced with another policy. If I understood that question correctly and that summation is correct, I believe and would welcome the monitoring officer's advice is that to get to that place, if an amendment is to be made to this recommendation in line with Councillor Riley's proposals, that needs to be tabled first. If the amendment stands, that becomes a substantive motion before Council. If it falls, then the motion as detailed in the report rises or falls on its own merits, which gets you to the position that some of the other councillors have expressed, where we don't dispose of in 3 months, but it's an open policy. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, it is. Thank you. So on that basis, you're advising that if there is a proposer of an amendment, we vote on that first. Is that correct, Trevor?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
I believe the first person who proposed a change to this was Councillor Prutton. Am I correct in that, monitoring officer?
No, it was Councillor Riley, Chairman.
Councillor Riley. Okay, Councillor Riley, you've proposed. Could you just put your proposal to Council, please?
Yes. The reason for proposal is that we're affirmative as council. We're saying this is a really good thing. We want them to stay on there. All the reasons that have been said by all the councillors, cross party actually, so there's no politics in this, and that we could and that we maintain all of these YouTubes on site for all the committees for a year. In a year's time, we can review it and then just continue with it, whatever. And that therefore be quite a positive statement to make to back it up. So I propose that we do maintain them and then review it in a year's time as a positive and transparent policy, Chair.
Thank you. I'm seeing a lot of information going on in the chat. So if we're dealing with his amendment first. Oh, I'm sorry. Can Emma, Councillor Hempsall, who I did refer to. No, I didn't. Anyway, Councillor Hempsall is saying that she'd indicated to vote. She'd indicated first, I think was Councillor Hempsall saying. Could you see that in the chat?
I can see that in the chat. I thought Councillor Hempsall, sorry, apologies. I thought Councillor Hempsall was voting against. Councillor Riley was the first councillor to propose and state an amendment to the recommendation before you.
And Trevor's absolutely right. The amendment comes first.
Yeah. Okay, so on that basis, let's go back to where we were. Councillor Riley, you proposed. Councillor Riley, do you have a seconder on this?
I'd be happy to second the motion, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Did you want to speak now or reserve the right?
No, I reserve the right, thank you.
Thank you. So we have a proposer, and that's to hold the, and then that's Councillor Riley. We have a seconder, Councillor Kelly, and I understand the amendment is to hold the videos on YouTube channel for 1 year and then review thereafter. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Does anyone wish to speak on this amendment? I can see Councillor Mancini-Ball, you're saying yes. Is that on this amendment or is that a different issue?
No, it wasn't on this amendment at all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brennan, did you want to speak on this amendment?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Can I just ask Councillor Riley just to clarify, when you talk about the 1 year period, are you suggesting that we review it in 1 year and then they might be deleted, or we just review the policy and that we maintain in perpetuity what has already been recorded?
Exactly, Nigel. Yeah, exactly.
So that is retain in perpetuity, but review the policy in 1 year's time.
Yeah, we always review. It's always sensible just to review. You never know, but you're just reviewing it, but you're maintaining it. Exactly.
Right. That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of, Steve. If you bear with me, what I don't want to see is that in a year's time we turn around and say, no, we're going to delete them all.
Yeah, I'm not proposing, just be clear for everybody, I'm not proposing that this is for a year and at the end of the year they're deleted. That is not the proposal at all.
Right.
Simply that you review in a year's time.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome. Thank you. I can see there's a question from Councillor Lana Hempsel, and then I think we'll then go to the vote after that, or I'll ask Councillor Kelly to sum up. Councillor Hempsel, you wish to raise a point on the amendment?
Well, yes, because if we now went over the recording of this meeting, we'd find the Councillor Riley's shifted position ever so slightly, because his amendment was that the recordings are kept for a year, and then whether they're kept or not is reviewed. And yet, after a clarification after Councillor Brennan, he now says that no, that they stay in perpetuity, but the policy is reviewed after a year. So, you know, these are two very, very, very different matters. So, I would prefer if council policies are reviewed periodically anyway, so that doesn't really need to be here. But that the recordings just remain on YouTube in perpetuity. That's my point. Sorry, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Hempsel. Thanks you, Councillor Hempsel. I have two more comments and then we are definitely going to bring this to a close. Councillor Gurney and then Councillor Catchpole.
Yes, I just put a comment up because I think we need to be very specific here about whether we are leaving them there full stop for however long, in perpetuity or whatever you want to call it, and then just reviewing the policy on an annual basis, or whether we're getting rid of them after a year when we review the policy. I also picked up on some of the other councillors' comments, in particular Councillor Mackie, who said about putting them down onto a video. So there's also a hard copy recording of them as well, which I assume there is now. But can we be assured that there is a hard copy, please?
Thank you, Councillor Gurney. We've gone off the amendment at this point. If we just focus on the amendment at this point, please. My understanding of the amendment that Councillor Riley proposed was that these YouTube videos will be held on YouTube in perpetuity, and this policy or this protocol will be reviewed in 1 year's time. Is that correct, Councillor Riley?
Absolutely, Chair. Absolutely.
Thank you. I've got, so Councillor Catchpole, have you got a new point to raise on this matter?
Yes, I have. Yes, thanks, Chair. It's that once, and let's hope we can all meet again next spring, let's say, will we not continue to record the meetings for those who cannot make it into the chamber to view them? And if that's the case, that may be before this suggested 1 year review. So perhaps we need to make a decision in light of things may change during the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Catchpole, for your comment. We do have an amendment before us that we are debating on. Councillor, there's the very last comment, and I do mean that this time. Councillor Justine Thomas, you have a quick comment to make. Is it a new point that you'd like to make?
Yes, it is. Just very quickly, just might be semantics, but I don't understand how you say that something's in perpetuity, but that you're going to review it, because if you're going to review it, it's not really in perpetuity, is it? And there's a sort of principle that you can't actually bind your successors. So by fixing something and saying it's forever, you're almost preventing anybody coming along and changing it. So yeah, that's just my quick thoughts.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas, for your thoughts. Right, at this point, I'm going to go to Councillor Kelly. You reserve the right. Would you like to speak now?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. I've listened to all the comments from all of the councillors, and I have to agree, the whole essence of this is that we wish to retain YouTube in perpetuity. And that's really what it should be. The semantics I can understand from Justine about it, but at the end of the day, it is part of our history. And we look back and, you know, other bits in Parliament and their Lansard, they have been going for hundreds and hundreds of years. And, you know, for us to do anything different, I think is silly. So we should just leave the amendment as it is and vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. I'll now go back to Councillor Riley. Do you want to sum up before we go to the vote?
Yes, just to say, I think really, certainly we're not ended up with a vacuum, as I was trying to clarify with Em and Trevor earlier on. If we then have a positive position from the councillors, we're doing this, as Ken says, for open transparency, all good reasons. Our intention is entirely that this would be in perpetuity. Simply review that policy in a year's time. Our intention is clear that's left there in perpetuity, etc. And on that basis, I think this, you know, I think we're just talking about semantics. Actually, I think we all know really what we're talking about here. But therefore, we haven't got an empty vacuum. We've then got a positive policy that states that in place with the amendment. So I move the amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. What I was going to do for this particular item, I can hear background noise. Has someone unmuted? Councillor Folger. What I was proposing to do, so I'm just going to pause for a moment, was to take all of the recommendations in this report individually, but as one roll call to avoid 3 separate roll calls. Councillor, are you happy with me doing that?
Chairman, sorry.
I'm sorry, I need to do the amendment first, don't I? Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
yeah,
please,
no, I'm jumping the gun. So on that basis, we have the amendment. We have debated that. We have the proposer, the seconder. I think Councillor Riley has made crystal clear what we're voting on. So if I can invite Claire to call the roll, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Beadle.
For.
Councillor Brennan.
For.
Councillor Britcher.
For.
Councillor Bullman.
For.
Councillor Catchpole.
For.
Councillor Copplestone.
For.
Councillor Crotch.
For.
Councillor Emsall.
For.
Councillor Fisher.
For.
Councillor Folger.
Councillor Folger.
Folger still with us?
4.
4. Thank you, Councillor Folger. Councillor Grattan.
4.
Councillor Gurney.
4.
Councillor Hartley.
4.
Councillor Harrison.
4.
Councillor Hempsall.
4.
Councillor Holland.
4.
Councillor Karimi Guvenlou.
4.
Councillor Kelly.
4.
Councillor King.
4.
Councillor Lawn.
4.
Councillor Lawrence.
4.
Councillor J Leggett.
4.
Councillor K Leggett.
4.
Councillor Mackie.
Councillor Mackie did confirm for Claire in the chat. I think he's still having problems.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mancini Boyle.
Against.
Okay, so that was 4 for Councillor Mackie, and Councillor Mancini Boyle, was that against?
It was, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murrell.
4.
Councillor Nurden.
4.
Councillor Peck.
4.
Councillor Prutton.
4.
Councillor Riley.
Sorry, Chair, a bit late there. 4.
Councillor Roper.
Councillor Roper sent his
sorry.
apologies this evening. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Ryman Tubb.
4.
Councillor Shaw.
4.
Councillor Starling.
4.
Councillor D Thomas.
4.
Councillor J Thomas.
4.
Councillor K Vincent.
4.
Councillor S Vincent.
Against.
Councillor Walker.
Abstain.
Councillor Ward.
4.
Councillor Wymark.
4.
That's carried, Chairman.
I was 4, Chairman, if anyone can hear me.
Yes, we did hear that, Councillor Mackie. Thank you. So that's been carried. So that now becomes our substantive recommendation. I'll go back, I'll reverse back to where I was a few moments ago. It's my intention to have one roll call for all 3 recommendations on this report, but to take your votes on each individually. Before I go to that vote, are there any further comments on the other 2 recommendations? I think we've fully debated recommendation 3, but recommendation 1 or 2, is there anything else that anyone would like to say? If you have, could you put in the chat now, please? I'll pause for a moment. Emma, I can't see anything coming through. Can you?
No, nothing coming through, Chairman.
No. Okay, so on that basis, I will then proceed to the vote. So as I say, it's my intention for the 3 recommendations to be taken as one roll call. So for the avoidance of doubt, what I mean by this is when your name is called, can you please vote on recommendation 1, recommendation 2 and recommendation 3 in that order. I hope that's clear. I'll now invite Claire to proceed to the roll call. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Adams.
4.
Councillor Adams, can you vote on the 3 recommendations separately, please?
I'll try again. I've done 3 times. 4.
Councillor Adams, we need three answers, but before we do that, I can see Councillor Brennan is clarifying what we're voting on 7.3, and that is a substantive motion that was put that the archive policy, archive procedure is that those videos will be held for in perpetuity, but reviewed after 1 year. I hope that answers your question, Councillor Brennan. So back to the vote, and Councillor Adams, we need 3 answers from you. Recommendation 1, recommendation 2, recommendation 3. Thank you. Sorry.
4.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Beadle.
4.
Councillor Brennan.
4.
Councillor Britcher.
444.
Councillor Bowman.
444.
Councillor Catchpole.
444.
Councillor Copplestone.
444.
Councillor Crotch.
444.
Councillor Emsall.
444.
Councillor Fisher.
444.
Councillor Folger.
444.
Councillor Grattan.
444.
Councillor Gurney.
444.
Councillor Hartley.
444.
Councillor Harrison.
3 4s.
Councillor Hempsall.
4 abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Holland.
4 4 and 4.
Councillor Karina Guvenlou.
4 4 and 4.
Councillor Kelly.
4 4.
Councillor King.
4 4 4.
Councillor Lawn.
444.
Councillor Lawrence.
4 4 and 4.
Councillor J Leggett.
4 4 and 4.
Councillor K Leggett.
4 4 4.
Councillor Mackey.
It was indicated in the chat, Claire, 4 4 and 4. Can I just ask councillors, please, if you're not speaking, to mute yourselves, please?
Thank you, Councillor Mackey. Councillor Mancini Boyle.
4 4 against.
Councillor Morrell.
4 4 4.
That's 4 4 4.
Councillor Nurden.
4 4 4.
Councillor Peck.
Councillor Peck, can you hear us?
Should we come back to Councillor Peck?
Yes, please.
Councillor Prutton.
4 4 4.
Councillor Riley.
4 4 4.
Councillor Ryman Tubb.
4 4
4 4 4.
4 4 4.
Councillor Shaw.
4 4 and 4.
Councillor Starling.
4 4 and 4.
Councillor D Thomas.
3 4s. 4 4.
Councillor J Thomas.
All the fours, 4 4 4.
Councillor K Vincent.
4 4 4.
Councillor S Vincent.
4 4 against.
Thank you. Councillor Walker.
4 4 4.
Councillor Ward.
4 4 4.
Councillor Wymark.
4 4 4.
And should we go back to Councillor Peck? Can he hear us now?
I think I did hear him say 4 his answer, but I can see Councillor Peck.
I heard you the first time, and I said 4 4 4. Can you?
I can hear you. Thank you, Councillor Peck. I think all of those are carried, Chairman.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your patience. We clearly got gremlins this evening, so thank you. We got there in the end. That now takes us to item 15, and that's questions from members to consider the following questions received in accordance with procedural rule 12.4. We have a question from Councillor Roper. Understand that Councillor Catchpole, you'll be reading this on his behalf this evening as he's not present.
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, sorry. I've jumped ahead in my haste. I've omitted item 14, so apologies for that. If I can, before we go to the questions, sorry to steal your thunder, Councillor Catchpole, but item 14, we have the feedback from the representatives of our outside organisations. They're before you on page 84 of your agenda. Firstly, I'd like to thank the councillors for putting forward your reports. It is really helpful for us to receive feedback from the outside organisations on which you serve, and thank you for your reports. And I would also urge other members who do not currently report back, if you can, please do so whenever you you can. We'll take those reports as read unless there's any urgent items or pieces that you feel that we need to be aware of to supplement those reports. No, I'll take that as a no. And to say thank you very much for those councillors who have submitted those reports. They are appreciated. So I will now go back to item 15. And what I was saying was to consider the follow questions received in accordance with Procedural Rule 12.4 and invite Councillor Catchpole to put that question on behalf of Councillor Roper.
Thank you, Chair. The first question is, will the leader please apprise Council of his views on whether local government reorganisation should take place here in Norfolk? In what circumstances would he support reorganisation, and what future structure of local government does he think would best serve Broadland residents? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Catchpole, for your question. I'll invite the leader to respond and remind the leader you have 5 minutes to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll try and fit it into the 5 minutes. Yeah, as I alluded to earlier, I was going to mention about devolution, and it's important to pick up in the answering this question really around what it is we're talking about. Are we talking about devolution? Are we talking about mayoral combined authorities? Are we talking about unitaries, or all or the sum of these? It's also important to recognise the context of Norfolk, and again, just to put that into some context, we're talking about a population of over 900,000 people. There are 8 councils across Norfolk with over 10,500 staff, and a combined cost or combined expenditure of just over 1.2 billion. So it's all big numbers. And again, looking at those big numbers, one of the things you've got to ask yourselves is could the outcomes be better? So looking at improved services, the delivery of those services, could they be more cost effective, and could there be more accountability? And also around it being easier to understand who's responsible for what. And I guess the answer to that is that it probably could. You asked for my views on this, and I can say yes or no today, but I feel that's probably a little premature and somewhat academic at this point in time, as we are expecting the white paper, the government white paper on devolution and recovery to be published in October. What I can say is what I do know. We did have a previous devolution deal that was being proposed in 2016, and it had all the asks and funding that would come with that. To a certain extent, I would say that we have already embarked, though, on our own reorganisation at a local government area through our collaboration and our work with South Norfolk Council. Between the councils, we have improved our services, our resilience, and we're providing better value for money for the 2 sovereign councils through the activities of the One Team. And the One Team have demonstrated this so clearly and so very, very well in the way that they've stepped up for the covering for the COVID-19 pandemic. So looking forward, would I support reorganisation? Yes, I would support reorganisation if we could say that it was going to improve and make Broadland a better place and serve our residents better. This point in time, there's not really going into much more than that, because we do need to wait for the white paper. We only need to understand the options, the requirements, and the criteria. But first, the reality of where we are is that we do have a small matter of a coronavirus to deal with and the impending likelihood of wave 2. So I think that's probably where our focus should be at this point in time while we wait for the white paper to arrive. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Catchpole, do you have a supplementary question?
No supplementary question. Shall I read the second question?
Thank you. Yes, if you could go on to question 2. Thank you.
Okay. Will the leader join with me in fully endorsing the sentiments of the motion passed by Norfolk County Council on the 20th of July on racism and racial equality in response to recent Black Lives Matter campaigns? Shall I read the preamble? The preamble says to the motion is printed here. It says, Council is committed to tackling discrimination and prejudice in all of its forms and recognises our responsibility to lead by example. Council affirms its commitment to continue work to address disadvantage, promote equality and eradicate racism. In particular, Council welcomes the spotlight that the Black Lives Matter campaign has shone on racism. We recognise our role and responsibility as councillors and Norfolk County Council as a whole to tackle racism locally, nationally and internationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Catchpole, for the question. I'll now invite the leader to respond. Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. And again, I guess the quick answer is that the sentiments that Norfolk County Council were seeking to provide through their commitment were well meant. What I would like to say for Broadland as a council is that it deplores and will not tolerate any form of discrimination and will proactively promote equality and will work to uphold all characteristics as defined by law. As a council, I feel we must continue to tackle discrimination and prejudice of all its forms. It is our responsibility as a council to lead by example and to address disadvantage, promote equality and eradicate all forms of racism. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank
no
you.
Supplementary question.
No supplementary. Okay, thank you. That now takes us on to item 16 of the agenda, motions. To consider any motions received under procedural rule 13. I don't believe we have any. I'll just check with Claire.
No, Chairman.
No, thank you. At which point I now move to exclude the press and public. I move that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the remaining items of business because otherwise information which is exempt, information by virtue of paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order 2006 would be disclosed to them.